Hi.
Hello. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, whatever time of day it is. Hope you're
Guten
enjoying.
Tag, guten Morgen, hallo,
Galanikta.
Kalimera.
That's about the range of our language expertise.
Bonjour, bonsoir, hola, ¿cómo estás?
Okay, right, shall we? That's a very Eurocentric set of languages there, but so let's push on. Welcome.
Welcome. What have you been up to this week?
What have I been up to?
Yes. Anything interesting?
No. No, I've been doing lots of interesting things. Nothing I particularly want to talk about. I've just been working, as you well know. Had lots of meetings. Always enjoy a good meeting. Yes, actually we've discussed some very important things. So, yes, it's been a week full of work.
A week full of work. Done anything interesting? Seen anything interesting? Heard? Read? Anything?
Well, I just told you I've been working. I mean, yes.
Yeah, but I know you watch stuff on Netflix.
Oh, in the evening, yeah.
Yeah.
I've been watching something.
Or listening to podcasts and stuff.
Well, okay. In the morning on the exercise bike, I've been listening to not a podcast. I've been listening to an audio book.
What audio book?
Harry Potter.
Harry Potter.
And the Half-Blood Prince.
Yeah, which I turned you on to. I was listening to Harry Potter, and then Spotify for some reason took the audiobooks down. And then the free ones on YouTube are mainly read by Americans, which for some reason sounds wrong to my ears. And I just needed
Because Harry Potter is, of course, let's face it, English.
Well, no, I think I got used to hearing Stephen Fry.
Well, that's the only reason I'm listening to it.
And he does the voices
Stephen Fry is just so brilliant.
Yeah, he does it all so good. So then after I'd heard, a bunch of them, I just couldn't change the voice. So
Stephen Fry is, in fact, my alter ego.
And you have Audible.
Yes.
So I downloaded... No,
I couldn't listen to it if it wasn't for Stephen Fry. He makes it.
Yeah, and then I downloaded one, and then you listened to it, and then now you've downloaded the next one, so I can't listen to it until you're done with it.
No.
Yeah.
Well, only another 8 hours to go.
Yeah, they are very long.
I should be done with it within about 10 days or so.
Half-Blood Prince, isn't that the one with
With Half-Blood Prince? What?
I'm trying to remember.
What? Sirius? No, it's not Sirius.
Sirius is the one before.
No, I know. I completely and I'm the one listening to it. I don't mean Sirius. I mean, what's his name?
Half-Blood Prince.
Yes, Slytherin, head of Slytherin.
Snape.
Thank you. Snape.
Yeah, I kind of forgotten now which one that is. Don't tell me, I'll listen to the book.
No.
But I'm now tempted, because I hadn't read the books. And that was the whole reason I thought, maybe I'll download the audiobooks. Because then I could say I've also read the book, because I've only seen the films.
Yeah.
And I think this was all during summer. I kind of wanted to start reading again, because I used to read a lot when I was young.
You devoured books.
I devoured books. I remember I'd come over for summer break, and I'd have at least 5.
The first thing we did when we arrived the first day, we would actually go to a bookshop and buy them out 10 books for you.
Yeah, for the summer break, and then but then I think as I got older in school, and they kind of, you have to read because you have to, especially as I had more literature topics and I had to read them, I kind of went off them. And I think a lot of kids did, when you're kind of forced to read, and especially I think literature, when you're forced to read it and you don't pick it up because you chose to pick it up, I just think it really put me off. And then I realised that, in the last 3 years of uni, 2 last year. So in the last 5 years, I barely read any books. So I thought this summer...
By which you mean novels?
Yeah, novels out of my own choice. Like I might sometimes pick stuff up, but not really finish it. I think I read 2 books in the 5 years, maybe, which for me is not a lot. And
it's hardly by your standards. I mean, you would be reading at one stage when you were about 12 or 13, you would almost read a book a day.
Well, I remember I'd get...
Admittedly, some of them were quite short, but you'd also just read through the night until about 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, well, I remember one time I had to stay home from school because I'd stayed up until like 5 a.m. And I said to my mum, I can't go to school until I finish it. And she said, fine. She said, you know, it's I'd rather you sit home and read than, I don't know, be doing something else. Like it's not a bad habit. It's kind of, I don't know. So, and I think I picked up the bad habit of watching stuff to fall asleep and watching stuff during the day. So I thought this summer, well, I'm done with uni. I'm technically no longer going to be forced or have to read stuff. So I want to gradually get back to reading for my own enjoyment.
So what are you reading at the moment?
Well, hang on. So I got a few books, but I thought, I'll start with some audiobooks because then it might satisfy my need of listening to something like Netflix or something, but also it will be a book, so maybe it'll be better than watching something. So that's when I did the Harry Potter books. But then I did read quite a bit over summer as well, a few books, some very good ones. Currently, I'm almost done with... I mean, it's nothing special, I'm not going to lie. It's not even worth really promoting it.
You better not say who the author is.
No. It's just some kind of soft-hearted kind of romance. Yeah, very gentle, pleasant read. Talks a lot about... makes me want to eat cookies. I want biscuits because one of the characters...
That's not a particularly good book then, is it? Really?
One of the characters bakes a lot, so I constantly kind of feel the need that I should be eating a biscuit as I read it. But yeah, I think... But I also feel that I do prefer... Because I did start 2 months ago, I read a few on my Kindle.
Sorry, whose Kindle?
Or your Kindle.
Kindle.
Your Kindle that I've taken over. But I have to say I do prefer reading books, physical copies.
Yeah. I've been finding that, because as you know, I normally read in the evening when I go to bed, and I like to normally read for about an hour or so, at least before I go to sleep. What I've been finding in the last, 9-10 months of lockdown, is that because one's staring at a screen so much during the day, I found it more difficult to read at night just because I feel my eyes are just so tired. And, although curiously, and this sounds as though I'm whatever, I've lost the words, contradicting myself is what I'm trying to say. I actually then binge watch a lot of Netflix stuff instead, because it was just easier somehow.
Yeah. Well, that's what I had. Or sometimes my book would wake me up because I'd get invested, if that makes sense, because I want to know what happens, which is where I find a podcast or an audiobook as a kind of compromise, because I have the hearing aspect, but not necessarily... I don't necessarily have to look.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So have you seen anything interesting? Films, series? Any favourite films? Let's do favourite films.
Well, I haven't. I don't watch films very often. I haven't watched many films at all during lockdown. I've tended to watch shorter things because I don't want to go to bed and think, right, I'm going to watch something for 2.5 hours or whatever. And we've obviously sat and watched films together.
Yeah, every now and then.
Every now and again. In fact, I think we actually did it quite a lot at the
First
beginning of
lockdown.
lockdown, and then almost got bored of it a bit.
Yeah, we'd kind of watch a film every night.
Yeah.
I think also one thing is, I've kind of gone off watching serious films, if that makes
Serious
sense.
films. Yeah.
Like, I kind of want a light-hearted comedy.
I've noticed that. Every time I say, "Oh, we're going to watch a film," you say, "Oh, I want a comedy. I want a rom-com. I want whatever."
Yeah, because I don't know. I just feel like because there's so much going on, I'd rather go to sleep with something light and fluffy than a serious issue.
Yeah.
I feel like there's so much in my mind or around me happening that I'm like, I don't really necessarily want to watch something that I know will concern me on purpose.
And I think that's probably where we differ, because generally I would, if I were on my own, I'd probably prefer to watch thrillers, stroke, whodunit, stroke.
But some of them are fine, if they're kind of done in a way that's okay, I'm fine with it. I kind of vary. So, for example, I watch the Night Stalker, but I told you then I couldn't get his bloody face out of my mind.
No, quite.
It really freaked me. They just showed one picture of his face that really freaked me out. But I enjoyed watching it. And now they have something about the Yorkshire Ripper, and I'm like, I really want to watch it, but under the current circumstances, because one of the things I tell myself after watching scary things, especially true crime, is I say, oh, that's in America. It's far away. It doesn't happen here. And that kind of eases my mind. So I don't think I should watch the Yorkshire Ripper, because then I'll start to feel scared of the UK as well.
Yeah, there's a difference. I said I like to watch thrillers. I don't necessarily want, I don't want to watch horror things. So I'm not sure what category.
You watch more mysteries.
Yeah, that's right.
Like
it's more
a murder
about,
mystery.
Precisely, it's more about a mystery.
But it isn't necessarily true crime.
No, I know, and a lot of them are actually relatively light-hearted anyway.
Yeah.
Where
more like a mystery, like Sherlock Holmes kind of thing.
Yeah,
which I'm fine with that. But I think, as I said, like I enjoyed true crime, but sometimes it can really make me anxious or freak me out.
And the film that has probably most freaked me out ever was Silence of the Lambs, which I'm not sure you've ever seen.
No.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Kind of. I mean, I've obviously heard of it. It's very famous, but I haven't watched them.
It's not a true story, but it was based on the main character is called Hannibal Lecter, who essentially was a serial killer. And for various reasons, he breaks out of being held and starts murdering again. And he also helps trying to solve another crime that is being committed. And there are certain scenes in that I found very disturbing. At one level, I was beautifully acted, but I remember I watched it in Cambridge, and then possibly it didn't help that I watched it on something like a midnight showing on a Saturday night
walk home
in the centre of Cambridge, and came out of what was then called the Arts Cinema, which is right in the centre of town, just off the marketplace, 2:00 in the morning. Completely pitch black, completely silent, and you're kind of like watching it go around every corner. Oh my God. And I almost couldn't sleep that night. And every now and again there are various things that come back that's in that film, and it's what I actually curiously found disturbing about it was that here was somebody who was killing for nothing but pure pleasure. Whereas in many of the thrillers,
like it wasn't like revenge or
precisely.
something.
And it's different from, say, the Poirot or crap like that I watch, where, the killing, of course, by definition, is nasty, but the killing for a purpose, because they want to, get some money or they want to keep something secret. But this is somebody killing for pure and utter physical pleasure.
Well, that was the kind of thing with the Night Stalker. He didn't have a kind of reason behind, or one of the curious things they were saying is that he didn't have, because most people pick their victims in a kind of way. So either they're old and then it has a kind of sick reasoning behind it, if that makes sense, or, they have a racial bias or gender bias or something. And they were like, this guy is going for anyone. He doesn't care. It's not necessarily women or, because, for example, Ted Bundy would go for women. So, and that's that, I don't know. Ugh.
So let's move away from films that we found disturbing. So what's on your not your bucket list, but what do you turn for enjoyment then? What's your like, right, I want to be cheered up tonight. I want to watch.
So
X.
That's what I was going to say. I feel like I've kind of, speaking of favourite movies, I feel like I have a lot of favourite movies that are serious films. So, for example...
You just don't want to watch them at the moment.
I just don't want to watch them at the moment. So, for example, Salt of the Earth.
Right.
I remember I really enjoyed that film. And it's about this photographer whose name escapes me at the moment. He's very well known. Who would take a lot of war photographs, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And then he kind of was like, I can't do this anymore. I can't take these pictures anymore. And then he turned to nature and took pictures of nature. And then, I don't know, it was just very beautifully made. And as I said, I don't think I've watched it more than maybe twice, but I still know that I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I can watch it again because obviously I think it handles some serious issues. It's a bit like Dead Poet Society. It's a beautiful movie, but I don't know if I want to watch it again and get sad again. There's so many films like that I really like, but I don't know if I want to watch again.
Curiously, actually, I very rarely watch films more than once. I don't have although there are many films, and we can talk about some of them that I really have enjoyed, and obviously anything with Helena Bonham Carter in it has to be up there somewhere. But there are not many films that I just think, because some people think they watch the same films over and over again. It's like, I've watched it 6 times in the last year, or I don't know, whatever it might be, making it up. But there are very few films. As you know, we've got heaps of DVDs. There are not many films I really feel an urge of like, I must watch that again. One of the films I do go back and watch again, just because I always find new things or remember new things within it, which is not a thriller. It's not in the kind of suspense mode. It's just pure fun, and it's really about the interaction between two struggling out of work actors. Essentially, it's
do you want to give the title?
It's Whitnell and I, which is.
I haven't watched it.
No, I don't think you've ever seen it. It's a kind of cult film in a way. It was never a big box office hit, but it still has a certain cult status because there are certain people who can almost quote every line in the film, because the script and the portrayal of these two. Richard E. Grant is one of the others, is one of the main characters. He's Whitnell. And I just find it just so entertaining. It's the script is beautifully written. It's beautifully portrayed. It's a harmless story. It has so many wonderful lines in it, so I will watch that again and again.
Well, how come I haven't watched it then?
Well, because I'm not sure you'll enjoy it. I might be wrong, but
maybe we should give it a try.
Yeah.
Do you know what I find quite interesting is rewatching like Disney films or something, but as an adult? Because I feel like there's always some kind of line or joke that I wouldn't have understood as a kid.
Yeah.
That I will understand now. Yeah. I mean, even recently, and now I want to rewatch it. We were talking about Mary Poppins, and I hadn't realised that the main lady is a suffragette.
Oh, right. Well, the mother of the children.
The mother of the
is,
children,
is
yeah.
suffragette, yeah.
And I hadn't really understood that at all as a kid, or that there's the whole
Well, you
kind
probably
of...
wouldn't even understand what a suffragette was.
Yeah, I didn't understand any of the kind of innuendos of suffragettes in there. And I saw a clip on TikTok of them saying that, oh yeah, she's a suffragette, and she kind of goes to her maid and says, have you put spoiled eggs in my bag? I'm going to go and throw them at the Prime Minister.
Yeah.
And something like that. And I was like, I just thought she was going off to work. I didn't understand.
No.
So I think there's lines in a lot of old kids' films that I'd want to rewatch as an adult and kind of see how I perceive it now that I've grown up.
And obviously when you were growing up, we spent a lot of time, in fact most of our DVD collection is based on films that we would watch together when you were growing up. So the Shreks, the Pirates of the Caribbean, this kind of stuff, the Harry Potters, which we mentioned earlier on, is that I particularly remember with Shrek, I would often laugh at things that you wouldn't get because...
Yeah. I was too young.
And I was just thinking, how could they say that? This is aimed at an audience of 7, 8, 9-year-olds. And I'm just thinking, I think it was in Shrek 2, where they're trying to get Pinocchio to lie. And Donkey says, oh, just say something stupid like you're wearing ladies' underwear. And he says, I'm wearing ladies' underwear.
And his nose doesn't grow.
I'm thinking, how can they have a conversation about ladies' underwear? And there are various other certain things.
But they do it in such a way that kids won't necessarily pick up on it because you're kind of focused on something else, which is why I think it's interesting to kind of watch stuff like that and see what you find funny now or how you feel about certain things now. So, I'd like to do that. But I don't know if I have a current favourite film. Favourite film? You've said your favourite film.
Well, it's one of the few films that I'd like to go and watch again. I mean, whilst you're thinking, I can say, well, as I said, anything with Helena Bonham Carter in it, Room with a View, for example, beautifully filmed, beautifully acted.
You know what I didn't like that we watched?
Gonna give me a clue?
And people might
tell. Has it got Helena Bonham Carter in it?
No, but people might not like me saying this. I just didn't enjoy Pride and Prejudice.
Oh.
I'm sorry. I just didn't.
Right.
I just didn't.
Well, one of the reasons because I selected that, was because you've been watching Bridgerton, which to me is a bit of a Pride and Prejudice.
Oh yeah, it's a rip-off, definitely. I mean, it's not. I didn't hate it. I just thought I would enjoy it much more than I did. I think
you are talking about arguably one of the most famous books ever written.
Yeah, I know. Maybe I need to read the book.
Well, to be honest. I think this is one of the problems. I actually find it's quite difficult to read the book because of the language, to a certain extent, the prose that's used. I think people of your age and younger would probably find it really quite difficult to read.
I don't know. I just found after a certain point it was just dragging, and I was just get on with it. Just get together.
I mean. The pace is completely enough.
Just
different.
Get to the kiss scene with Mr. Darcy, and just get it out. Like, ugh.
Yeah.
So
the pace is not what you're used to.
Yeah, that's it. It was the pace.
This ain't Sex in the City.
Yeah. I think it was just after a certain point I was like, this is getting too slow for me now. Just get on with it. Whereas lovely scenery, very good acting, all of that, like, I have no complaints. I think I was just losing my patience. And I was just like, over this, grumbly white man who seems miserable all the time. Just find someone else. Get on with it. Just kiss and move on. I don't know. I was just getting a bit irritated.
Right, so we talked about films that, I think so far we've primarily talked about films that you don't like. Can we actually maybe move on to something that you do like? And even if you don't necessarily want to serial watch them, go back to them again and again. And I know the films that you liked as a child. I'm not going to mention them because I'll obviously embarrass you too much.
Embarrass me too much. Why would that be embarrassing?
High School Musical.
High School Musical is still a solid film, if you ask me.
I don't think it's...
I rewatched High School Musical 1 about a few months ago. And I'm not too scared to admit it. And I think it's quite fun rewatching even that and seeing, how awkward the acting is at certain times, because they're still kids at that age.
Well, yeah, they are. I mean,
yeah.
Indeed.
Whereas how at the time I would look up to them and be like, oh my God, the outfits, that is so amazing. And now I just kind of giggle at it. I'm like, oh my God, what the hell is this? Ugh. And some punchlines that, again, I wouldn't have picked up on.
It is a bit cheesy.
Yeah, it's much cheesier. Whereas when I was a kid, I'd be like, this is the best thing ever.
Yeah. You just wanted that life.
Yeah, I know. So,
so the other things, of course, that you liked as you, Spirit was a film that you watched again and again and again. Many people may not know the film Spirit.
It wasn't that popular.
Was it a Disney film? I don't know. It's a cartoon.
No, I think it's
Pixar. It's basically about an horse.
The horse.
An horse, isn't it? Who doesn't want to
be broken.
Be broken. Yes, he does not want to essentially service man.
But it's also about when the English are taking over Native Americans' land.
Sorry, you said English. Americans.
Americans, sorry.
Yes, I know. The horse is a metaphor also about the challenges between the white man, the Americans going over the prairies further west, etc., and the conflict between...
I'd like to rewatch that now, because I think, again, as a young kid, I didn't know the history of that, so I probably kind of understood it, because, as I said...
that's why the film is quite interesting. It's a metaphor about wider things going on in society.
Yeah.
Which you wouldn't have understood.
Yeah, because there's also the female horse who belonged to the Native Americans.
And to a certain extent, it's not just about the cultural conflict between Native North Americans and non, but also about conquest of the environment.
Yeah,
well,
I was going to say about the respect of the environment
and all this kind of stuff,
and the different aspects of the, which is why I think maybe it is called Spirit, not just because he's called that, but that kind of spirituality around the nature.
It's about having a free spirit and the ability to have a free spirit.
See, maybe we need to rewatch Spirit.
Yeah,
I just remember enjoying it so much.
And the other film that you watched again and again and again, which I think we only had on an old VHS, if I remember, which we actually, I remember we bought second hand from a video shop, was Oliver.
Oliver, but not the one with the people.
I was going to say, but not. It was in the dog world.
Yeah,
Oliver,
and again, that one I think isn't very popular. I remember not a lot of people have seen that.
You loved all the songs. It's a musical, effectively, isn't it?
Yeah, so it's Oliver, but they've done it with animals, and Oliver's a cat in dog's world.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's something that says, "Why should I worry?
Well,
why should I care?"
That's not sung by Oliver. That's sung by who would be
the cool dog.
Dodger.
Dodger. Yeah. Why should I worry? Yeah. Whereas the real Oliver has the kind of like.
Yeah, but that's just like the film. I mean, actually, well, to be honest, the Oliver film that
is very
most
good
people
as well.
Will probably know. Again, I would watch that again, and I love seeing that again. What I discovered recently, I don't know if I ever told you. Yeah, maybe you told me.
Yeah.
And it was actually, I think it was a relative of one of the producers.
Yeah, their daughter or something like that, singing.
And I think his name is Mark Lester, the boy who played Oliver in that the most famous film version. And
but to be fair, some of them are very high up, though.
Yeah, but for years, when you told me that, I was just like, you're like ruined.
I can't believe it. I feel betrayed.
I did. I felt betrayed. Where is love? Exactly, and it's not him. I've sat there weeping my eyes out.
Maybe in some of them it's him. I don't know.
No, I think.
Do you know which one I quite enjoy?
I don't think he sung any of them.
You know which one I like?
Consider yourself
at home. I just like the way he shouts. Part of the family.
Consider yourself.
It's clear. Yeah. We're going to get along. Consider yourself. And then Oliver goes, at home.
At home. I'm a little wimpy boy.
Consider yourself.
Part of the family. I know, but it's brilliant. I can watch that again and again. So I'm now contradicting myself. There are some.
We did watch the musical too once in London, didn't we?
We did, and that was actually the same songs, wasn't it? Was the Lionel Bart.
Yeah.
Actually, we saw it with Rowan Atkinson in. He played.
Really?
He played.
No, we didn't.
No, we didn't. I just made that up.
You just made that up. I would remember that.
My friend Rowan was playing in the musical. You know, I think he did play on it, but that's not who we saw. We saw.
To be honest,
else.
I just remember we sat next to a lady.
Lady?
No lady. Maybe it wasn't a lady, but I just remember it was someone that unfortunately smelled quite badly.
I don't remember that at all. You sure that wasn't me?
Maybe it was you.
We couldn't both have been sitting next to
maybe it was a perfume.
Smelly lady. She must have been next to you.
Yeah,
and I probably
maybe it was a perfume that I didn't. I just remember.
The perfume?
Yeah, I just didn't. Yeah. Papa, that's how it goes.
I think we should just do an episode where we just go through. Let's do an episode where we just simply go through and sing all the Oliver songs. We can have a sing-along podcast. People could listen and sing along as well. That's going to be so uplifting.
I don't know what copyrights we need for that.
If we're just singing, I don't think there's any copyright. Yeah, that's a good question, because we're not broadcasting the original thing. We are just interpreting it. So
food, glorious food. What wouldn't we give for that little bit? To me, I think
to learn the lyrics. I need to learn the lyrics. You're really good at remembering lyrics.
I'm very good at that.
I just don't know how you do it.
Disney films, anything. I don't know where it's all stored up in my brain, but I just.
Well, you had.
I think it's.
Probably because you listen to it in a different way.
Yeah, I think I just listen to music in a different way, in the way that they just stick with me. I think I remember the songs. Also, I think as I grow up, I just laugh at the kids' way of like enunciating and shouting. I just love how they're shouting to make like the kind of accents, and that's what I laugh at kids singing, because it's just like, that little bit more, what wouldn't I give for?
Yeah.
And especially in the one we were doing before, where there's like, consider yourself at home.
I know.
Just love it.
You've just, by the way, broken a few eardrums of our listeners. Well, if you want us to do future musicals, I'm quite sure we can perform at a reasonable price.
Yeah.
No, but I think we should do an Oliver podcast. We could do Oliver in 30 minutes, do the whole thing, run through the whole thing, an abridged version of Oliver.
Oh my God. Well, we didn't exactly talk about our favourite films.
I know, but we've had a good time talking about Oliver and other things. I talked about mine. You still haven't mentioned yours, unless you're going to stick with High School Musical.
I'm just going to leave it there.
Right. And sorry, are we talking about High School Musical 1, 2 or 3, or the combination of all
trilogy?
the trilogy?
All of them.
Right. Have you ever been wanting to go back and maybe suggest that they should make a...
They made a series with
they?
new kids.
I didn't even
So,
know
like,
there
the
were
kids
new
going to
kids.
school. I haven't watched this because I just don't want to be disappointed. I think all the OG High School Musical fans want a reunion. I don't know if it's going to happen. But yeah.
Right. All three of you. Oh, four of you.
No, you're undermining the power of High School Musical.
But isn't it just that there was that television program, Fame? Isn't it just a version of that?
Fame? I don't know.
You're too young for Fame, aren't you, really?
Yes.
I have no idea what I'm talking about because I've never seen Fame. But
So then how can you...
Was that a film or a TV series?
Right, let's just stop this.
Well, I'm used to talking about things I know nothing about.
Well, that's not a good thing.
No.
You shouldn't really say that.
Hasn't necessarily stopped me, though.
Yeah. That's the problem with our society. People just talk about stuff they don't know anything about when they should just shut their mouths. So that's
Shut your mouth.
what I'm gonna do. Well, hope you enjoyed this conversation.
Venture into Oliverland.
Yeah, it wasn't exactly a specific topic, but
No, but it was fun.
I hope you enjoyed some more light-hearted content.
And let's hear about your favourite films. You could send in films that you've watched and are up on your list, and we can pull them apart.
Yeah, we can have
We could review them.
review them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right then.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.